This video presents my primary source analysis project titled Eugenics from Theory to Policy, comparing Galton's 1904 definition with Popeno's 1934 endorsement of Nazi sterilization. The project examines two primary sources from the Unit on Eugenics and Racial Ideologies in the early 20th century. Eugenics developed in the late... Sorry, my dog's all over me. Eugenics developed in the late 19th and early 20th centuries as a pseudoscientific movement that sought to improve the genetic quality of human populations. It drew heavily from social Darwinism and widespread anxieties about racial degeneration, which intensified during the economic crisis of the Great Depression. During this period, many countries, especially the United States, implemented compulsory sterilization laws aimed at individuals considered unfit, such as those with Down syndrome. Historical statistics provide important context. By the early 1930s, more than 60,000 people had been forcibly sterilized in the United States under eugenics programs. In Nazi Germany, the 1933 law for the prevention of hereditarily diseased offspring resulted in the examination of approximately 400,000 individuals for potential sterilization. These figures illustrate how eugenic ideas rapidly translated into state policy on both sides of the Atlantic. The first primary source is Sir Francis Galton's 1904 article, Eugenics, Its Definition, Scope, and Aims. Galton, a British scientist and cousin of Charles Darwin, introduced and defined the term eugenics. He framed it as a scientific and social program designed to enhance the inborn qualities of the human race through selective breeding and education. Three specific points stand out in this source. First, Galton emphasized positive eugenics, the improvement of inborn qualities rather than merely preventing the reproduction of the unfit. Secondly, he argued that each social class should be represented in future generations by its best specimens. Third, he called for the systematic study of hereditary laws. And the collection of data on successful families to guide reproductive decisions. Overall, Galton's work provided the theoretical and intellectual foundation for the eugenics movement. The second primary source is G. Paul Popeno's 1934 article, The German Sterilization Law. Published in the Journal of Heredity, Popeno, an American eugenicist, wrote enthusiastically about Nazi Germany's newly enacted sterilization law. He portrayed it as a methodical, science-based policy that had developed gradually from years of internal eugenics discussions rather than as a sudden invention of the Nazi regime. Three key points emerge from the article. First, the German law was presented as the culmination of long-standing eugenic thought. Second, it implemented negative eugenics through compulsory surgical sterilization to prevent individuals with hereditary defects from reproducing. Third, Popeno claimed that the German law was better structured and administered than most sterilization statutes then existing in the U.S. This source demonstrates the practical and coercive ability of the coercive application of eugenic ideology under an authoritarian government. Three direct quotes from Galton best illustrate the core of his essay. First, eugenics is the science which deals with all influences that improve the inborn qualities of a race, also with those that develop them to the utmost advantage. This quote is significant because it establishes eugenics as a legitimate scientific discipline focused on racial improvement. Secondly, The aim of eugenics is to represent each class or sect by its best specimens. This highlights Galton's advocacy for positive eugenics through selective reproduction across social classes. Third, the aim of eugenics is to bring as many influences as can be reasonably employed to cause the useful classes in the community to contribute more than their proportion to the next generation. This reveals Galton's belief that education and social policy should actively encourage reproduction among those deemed desirable. These quotes capture the optimistic yet deeply hierarchical vision at the heart of early eugenics theory. 3 quotes from Popenoe's article clearly reveal his perspective and its implications. First, Germany's eugenic sterilization law is no hasty improvisation of the Nazi regime. It has been taking shape gradually during many years in the discussion of eugenicists. This statement is important because it explicitly links Nazi policy to the pre-existing internal eugenics movement. Secondly, to prevent defective persons from reproducing, to prevent defective persons from producing equally defective offspring, this is an act dictated by the highest light of reason. This quote shows Popenoe's strong endorsement of coercive state intervention in reproduction. Third, while the German law is well drawn and in form may be considered better than the sterilization laws of most American states, this comparison suggests that Popenoe viewed Nazi Germany as the model that the United States should study and potentially even emulate. Both sources address several shared historical themes, while also revealing important differences. In terms of themes, both Galton and Popenoe engage deeply with racism and ethnicity, promoting the idea of improving or preserving racial stock. Both also emphasize technology and science, Galton through the study of heredity and Popenoe through the medical technology of surgical sterilization. Galton additionally stresses education as a tool for eugenic progress, whereas Popenoe focuses on law and politics as a mechanism of enforcement. The perspectives overlap significantly in their acceptance of scientific racism and the application of science to human breeding. They are complementary in that Galton supplies the theoretical framework that Popenoe later applies in a real-world political context. However, the sources contrast sharply in approach. Galton's vision is largely theoretical and leans toward positive, incentive-based measures, while Popenoe openly supports negative compulsory eugenics enforced by an authoritarian state. This comparison highlights how eugenic ideology evolved from academic discussion in 1904 to dangerous government policies by 1934. All the works that were used and cited are here on the bibliography. Galton Francis, Eugenics, Its Definition, Scope, and Aims. Popenoe G. Paul, The German Sterilization Law. And Farber S.A., U.S. Scientists. Thank you. Let me end. I can clip it.